All right. So we're into the discussion topic this week. And again, so this is all built off something that I said on the Curvy Fox podcast. I'm sorry, within this does not equal beauty presented by Curvy Fox. And that is that we walk around as incomplete people. We don't spend the time really the shadow work to do the shadow work to regain lost pieces of ourselves that may have been lost but from bad relationships, romantic relationships going bad, abuse, either mental or physical, self-doubt, things that we put in our own minds, or just, just losing jobs. It could be anything that really can cause you to kind of leave pieces of yourself laying around that are hits that you've never really regained from and that you haven't taken around. And then we walk around as incomplete people, not fully ready, equipped to deal with the things we do. A lot of us still do a good job being incomplete people, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive to try to be complete people, especially when you talk about romantic relationships and trying to go out and be loved and love someone. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, it can be toxic when we're not complete and we expect that person to complete us, and then it really drains and depletes that person that's putting love into us. So we're going to talk about first, how to identify if you are missing pieces of yourself. So this is the first steps that you have to do. First one is to recognize the loss. Are you on automatic living through life? Are you lost? When you take a step back and look at the decisions you make, what has motivated those decisions? You have to do an honest evaluation. So you have to first try to recognize any pieces that have been lost. Think about it. Really take a look at where do you feel like you're missing stuff at? Then you have to identify what it is. Number two, what it is that's missing. Have you lost yourself altogether? Are you missing pieces or are you just missing parts? You have to write it down. If you have to take a dialogue, whatever you need to do to really dig through where you used to be, what may be missing now, where do you wish you can be, and what's really holding you back. And so I've developed these questions for reflections to see if you've missed those parts. So it's, who am I? Is this who I want to be? What am I missing? Which parts am I missing? What am I longing for? What were my dreams as a child, a teen, and young adult? What were my passions as a child and teen? How do I want my life to look today, in 5 years, and when I die? What are my values? What do I cherish most highly? And what brings me happiness, satisfaction, and a sense of accomplishment? If you can ask yourself those questions, it'll help you reflect on things and see if you've missed those pieces. Number three, explore how you got off track. You have to really take a look at what went wrong, right? What got you off the path that you were probably on or that you should be on? What exactly was the step that got you off that path and helps you lose your way? It can be an event. It can be a job. It can be family. It can be children. It can be friends. It can be strong emotions of anger, fear, obsession, depression. It can be a transition in life. It can be a move. It can be a number of different things that you can take a look at, especially if you're putting on a happy face, getting stuck in a certain role. Those things can also help you take a look at if you are missing pieces. And number four, the last one, reclaim your lost self. And we'll talk about what's following this is how you can reclaim your lost self. But first, you have to take and honestly look at what parts of that you've lost that you need to reclaim. Some parts that you lose were just extra. It's good that you lost them, but you have to reclaim if you lost parts of yourself that you need to hold on to or embrace or remember. So that's how we identify those missing pieces. Now let's get into how we do reclaim them. What are the steps and things that we can do on how to reclaim those? The first one is you have to give up pretending that you have to be who you used to be. And that's something in Black culture that is just goes all over the place. People put you in a box and thinks you don't want to change. And again, I've talked about it before on getting out of the way of our own happiness. Sometimes we become so accustomed to being the people who have had to battle that we don't know what it's like what to do with ourselves or to not battle. We don't know what that's like. So we have to quit pretending that we're those people, because we've taken hits. Hopefully you've gotten better. You can look back and say, I'm not that person in a positive way, but sometimes we're incomplete. Sometimes there are certain aspects of us that while we've learned to adapt and get stronger elsewhere, that we've left behind us. So you have to Start that battle with yourself and how you presently feel. That is the first thing to identify. And if you're missing pieces of yourself, take a look at what is missing at you. Take a look at who you used to be and do a real true evaluation of where you stand now. That's the first step. And then number two, based off that, is stop beating yourself up over everything that you aren't. Sometimes we look at, oh, we're not where we thought we would be in our career. Oh, we're not as passionate about XYZ, or oh, we lost this, we lost that. You have to be kind to yourself in your thoughts, words, and actions about yourself first. It's almost more important than being kind to others. Extend yourself the same courtesy that you try to give your other people. You got to love yourself, your real self, not the mask that you put in. Again, we talked about masks before, not your avatar that you present to other people. You have to take a real good dive at your fears. You have to take a real good hard look at your fears and insecurities and how that's informed certain decisions that you've made in your life. When you take a honest look at that, and I don't again mean to beat yourself up, but just take an honest account. That's how you're going to tell what pieces of yourself are missing. Because if you're just someone who is dealing with an insecurity about a financial insecurity, there's something in your life that's happened that left that part of you behind. It could be how you were raised. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything it could be because you were raised poor, you know it, your family was poor, and now you have this financial insecurity that it's just so hard for you to get outside of. But you haven't taken the time to go back and get it. Like, yeah, you guys ate noodles all the time, but you haven't really taken yourself time to go back and get over that. That's a piece of yourself that you left behind. Number three, give up regretting and holding on to what happened in the past. That's what we just talked about. You have to let go of the things that happened in the past to get you where you were now or to cause the insecurities, because guess what? A lot of times, especially if that was caused by other people, if we're talking about relationships, that person is gone on and is living their life, and you're still sitting here without a piece of yourself that they took because they did something to you, whether, like I said, mental, physical abuse, whatever. And I'm not saying it like it's hard to get over. I'm not saying it like you don't have to go and do billable hours of therapy. I'm not saying that, but that's part of going back and getting those pieces, is doing those steps. But you first have to identify, what are you regretting? What are you holding on to from your past based off what happened or what has not happened? Do that real evaluation of yourself. Not all the puzzle pieces of your life seem to fit together at first, right? When you take a look at it, it may seem like everything's jumbled. Nothing's quite coming together the way that you thought it would or that you think it should be. And you will sit there and be dealing with that pain and that hurt for so long because you're just holding on to what happened instead of letting it go and trying to heal from it. Number four, give up getting caught up in negativity surrounding you. That could be people. Hell, we hold on to people so much to cause negativity and bring negativity around us and talk down to us and whatever. But that may also be your own thinking on certain things. You have to stop getting caught up in negativity. We do that so often. Sometimes people use it for fuel. Some people really don't know how to operate if they're not surrounded by negativity or they don't have negativity coming in. That is an issue. You have to be ready to stop getting caught up and to give away that negative energy and be more positive about things and in negative times. When you work and you're more of a complete person, you're better equipped to deal with negative times because you're standing on as a full person, and when that ding comes, it doesn't affect you. Give up thinking, number five, give up thinking that everyone else has it easier than you. Because as we see, social media is always going to be the best representation, or people giving the best view of themselves in their life. You're very rarely going to see the struggles, and we start thinking those people are doing better than us. And then we get caught up in that. That's going to get into number six, so I'll stop that. But you have to stop thinking that everyone has it easier than you, because they're dealing with stuff similar. You probably just don't see it unless you know that person very closely and intimately. Life isn't fair. So things that you may struggle with, somebody else may not struggle with, but they may have other difficulties somewhere else. People don't have it a lot easier than you. Again, relative, because some people just have silver spoons in their mouth. But that's number five. Number six, give up wanting to be where others are in life. Think about that for a second. You have to give up wanting to be where other people are, because it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you at all. It doesn't help you to sit there and think, oh, well, this person has that, This person has XYZ. I want to obtain that. Stop worrying about what other people have or don't have or where they are. Get to the best place you can get and know that you've worked there to get it. Next thing, give up letting judgments of strangers control you. Oh my God, this is something I talk about so often. Stop worrying about what other people think. My mom's saying again, it comes up all the time. I'm going to say it again. What other people's thoughts and feelings are, or how they feel is none of your fucking business. Ultimately, it's not. We will get so caught up in it, and it's not affecting our lives. If it's not stopping you from how you make your money, how you provide for your family, or your progression, fuck how those people think and feel. Stop worrying about how other people feel and their judgments over you, because they got some fucked up shit going on too, but we can't worry about it. Number 8, give up letting toxic relationships bring you down on a daily basis. Can the congregation come to me again on this one? Stop giving energy to toxic relationships. If you got a best friend who isn't feeding into you, let go of that shit. You gotta stop giving energy into that daily. Like the energy that you put out, especially if people aren't expending that back into you, you have to let that go. You have to. Like often people will blame everything on someone else or something that they're doing, and their toxic actions are other people's faults. And at the end of the day, like I said before in this podcast, no one can bring out something in you that wasn't already in you. 18 different people can squeeze an orange. The only thing that's going to come out of that is orange juice. So give up letting toxic people bring you down. Sometimes that's yourself, unfortunately. Number 9, give up overthinking and worrying about everything. Stop worrying about everything. You can't control every little aspect. Things aren't always going to go right. Matter of fact, if you can only operate and be good if everything goes perfectly right, then you're not doing that well. Stop overthinking and worrying. Stop letting your fear, giving space to your fears and anxieties. Stop looking too deep into things that aren't that deep, or too deep into people who aren't that deep and have not much to provide you. You think how you think, and you will feel how you feel about yourself if you stop worrying and take an honest evaluation of yourself. Number 10, and this is the last thing on how we fix or regain those pieces of ourselves. Give up believing that you aren't strong enough. Period. If you take a look, nothing you've been through yet has killed you, right? And if you've already been through it and it hasn't taken you down, you can backtrack and go and regain those pieces. It's not going to, it didn't kill you before. It's not going to kill you now, just to go back. And now you're smarter. Now you can navigate better. At least you should be able to navigate better, especially if you do what we talked about earlier and follow the steps we gave you before. Take time out to grieve. Take time out to reassess. Take time out, but then stop thinking you're not strong enough to keep going and pushing forward. If it hasn't taken you out now, we are more resilient than we ever give ourselves credit for, because nothing has taken us out yet. So it's not going to take us out before. Think about that. And especially when it's about getting out of your own way, you more than often aren't going to take yourself down. Now you can, especially if you fall down a mental hole and rabbit hole, but at the same time, stop thinking you're not strong enough. You got this. We got this. Period. But that's it. This has been another episode of the Awakened Soul podcast. A deep one. We've just been all over the place from start to finish with this. But it's needed. I hope this discussion topic brings you guys a lot of self-reflection, a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas on how and where you need to change some things at. I know it has for me, just putting the episode together itself. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. Like I can't stress that enough. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, especially like this streak that I've been on creatively, and you guys have let me know that I've really been on a great streak, and I do appreciate that. I've really been, I don't know, some people have faced like downturns with coronavirus, and I've been luckily on an upturn as far as like my creative streak. There was a minute that I just was obsessing over like the news and stuff in Corona, and it did drive me a little crazy, but luckily I was able to come out on the other side of that with just a creative streak that's been refreshing, really. So yeah, we're gonna keep this vibe going. We're gonna keep the mood going. We're just gonna keep this dope ass podcast going. As long as you guys continue to support me. We got some great guests coming up on the next couple of weeks as well. I don't want to tease those yet. You'll see them. The first one, First one is he's a YouTuber that actually reached out that wanted to do some stuff with me. So that's going to be great for any entrepreneurs because like he's built his business up from start to finish. So that's going to be a great one for my entrepreneurs who are really looking at to do some other stuff. But yeah, that's really it, man. I want to thank you guys. Support on the YouTube channel as well, which is just a video version of this, but you guys still have been turning out and seeing that. Like, just appreciate y'all, man. I really, really do. I got asked a question when I was on Convos with Creatives just about like staying engaged and everything, and it's really because of my listeners. Like, you guys from like episode 1, like my listener engagement has been amazing, and I don't sleep on that. I don't take that for granted at all. I just thank you guys for all the continued love and support. But housekeeping, make sure you go to thebreaksmedianetwork.com where you can get this new merch that I got on right now. You guys have to be watching the video to see it, or you probably see it on the promo video as well. This new baseball tee with the Awakened Soul stuff on it. We'll be working on some new summer stuff as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to keep the merch coming. But outside of that, make sure you go and follow the Awakened Soul Pod or at Awakened Soul Pod, just depending on where you're looking for us at. If you want to follow me specifically, you can do so at CEO Haize. Make sure you're also following the Breaks Media Network and listening to other Breaks Media podcasts. This has been the #1 podcast for the culture. I know I say that on the Breaks Radio too, maybe I need to just do something different on this one. But this has been The Awakened Soul. I'm CEO Haize. I love each and every one of you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.